The greatest demonic emperor in the Holy Domain was betrayed for the one treasure every expert desired, yet death did not end Zhuo Yifan's reign. It merely trapped him inside the body of a powerless servant. The treasure at the center of that disaster was no ordinary cultivation manual. It carried the inheritance of an ancient devil king, a legendary being whose knowledge had once been scattered across the world. Anyone capable of understanding its secrets could refine stolen power, strengthen the soul, and pursue a realm far beyond ordinary martial artists. Countless experts had searched for it across generations. Zhuo Yifan was the one man who finally held its complete knowledge, and that achievement transformed him from a feared demonic cultivator into a living threat to the entire Holy Domain. Long before that rebirth, Zhuo Yifan stood at the summit of the continent. Known as the Magic Emperor, he possessed the Book of Nine Secrets, an ancient inheritance said to contain power beyond human limits. News of the book spread across the Holy Domain, and soon countless experts came to seize it. Even the seven emperors joined the hunt. Zhuo Yifan showed no fear. He tore through their forces and mocked their demands, confident that none of them could defeat him. Then, the true danger appeared from behind. Before the seven emperors arrived, an entire force had already broken through his mountain defenses. His disciples rushed to warn him that their outer troops had fallen, but Zhuo Yifan remained seated, calm and almost amused. In his eyes, the attackers were merely insects gathering around a flame. When the first wave reached him, he moved with overwhelming speed. Blades flashed, bodies fell, and the mountainside was stained with blood. His strength justified every trace of arrogance. Even several elite cultivators working together could not force him to retreat. Zhao Cheng, the disciple he had raised since childhood, had leaked every secret about the book. Greed had turned the young man against his own master. Surrounded by enemies and wounded by betrayal, Zhuo Yifan made one final decision. If the world wanted the Book of Nine Secrets, then the world would receive nothing. He destroyed himself along with the book. A devastating explosion swallowed the entire battlefield. The seven emperors realized his intention only when the energy around him became unstable. By then, there was no time to stop him. The blast tore through the mountain and erased every trace of the treasure they had come to steal. Zhuo Yifan accepted death with one final satisfaction. His enemies might survive the explosion, but none of them would possess the inheritance. At least that was what he believed, until consciousness returned in a place he had never seen before. When Zhuo Yifan opened his eyes again, the Holy Domain was gone. His soul had entered the battered body of a young servant named Zhuo Fan. The new body was weak, and its cultivation was barely worth mentioning, but it was alive. That alone was enough. Before he could understand the situation, a wounded cultivator stumbled towards him and begged for help. The man soon realized that something about the servant had changed. His hesitation came too late. Zhuo Fan used the secret draining touch from the Book of Nine Secrets, tearing away the man's strength and soul. The attacker had known the original Zhuo Fan and expected to find a frightened, helpless boy. Instead, he found the cold gaze of a man who had once commanded an empire of demonic cultivators. Zhuo Fan allowed him to approach, studied the flow of energy inside his body, and waited until escape was impossible. The moment his hand made contact, the secret draining touch locked onto the man's cultivation. Strength, spiritual energy, and fragments of memory were pulled away together. The victim understood the truth only in his final moments. The servant standing before him was no longer the person he remembered. The technique was dangerous. The stolen energy had to be refined carefully, but one night of cultivation pushed the frail body through several layers. Zhuo Fan was still far from his former power, yet the road back to the Holy Domain had finally opened. The Sword Emperor, Zhao Cheng, and every enemy involved in his death would one day face him again. His first concern was escape. A battle was raging nearby between the survivors of the Luo clan and a group of bandits. Commander Pang defended Luo Yunshang and her younger brother, Luo Yunhai. Meanwhile, Sun Guanjia, a traitorous servant of the Luo clan, demanded their families return Dragon Palm. Zhuo Fan wanted no part of such a small conflict. Then, the moment he tried to walk away, a violent pain crushed his chest. The memories of the body's former owner revealed the reason. Zhuo Fan's father had died serving the Luo clan, and the boy had sworn to protect that family. The promise had formed a heart demon, binding the body to Luo Yunshang and Luo Yunhai. Abandoning them would bring unbearable pain, and breaking the vow could even mean death. Those memories showed more than a simple duty. After the death of Zhuo Fan's father, the Luo clan had given the orphan food, shelter, and a place within the household. Luo Yunshang had protected him when others treated him as a useless servant. Young Luo Yunhai had often mocked him, but even that troublesome boy considered him part of the family. The former owner of the body had repaid that kindness with absolute devotion. His will had been weak in every other matter, yet his desire to protect the Luo siblings had become powerful enough to survive death and restrain the soul of the Magic Emperor. For a man who had once ruled as the Magic Emperor, becoming the servant of a declining clan felt worse than any wound. Still, the heart demon left him no choice. Zhuo Fan returned to the battlefield and immediately drew everyone's attention. Sun Guanjia's men laughed at the supposedly useless servant, but Zhuo Fan calmly measured their strength. He could not defeat the strongest enemy in a direct confrontation, so he created a single opening. When the bandits attacked, he seized Luo Yunshang and Luo Yunhai, then escaped into the forest. Commander Pang and the remaining guards stayed behind, risking their lives to delay the pursuit. The escape was not an act of panic. Zhuo Fan deliberately drew the enemies towards the narrowest path, where their numbers became less useful. He used trees, rocks, and sudden changes of direction to hide the weakness of his cultivation. Every movement had a purpose. Luo Yunshang struggled against him, believing that honor demanded a return to the battlefield, but Zhuo Fan understood warfare far better than she did. Commander Pang had chosen to remain behind because protecting the hares was more important than protecting himself. Turning back would waste every life sacrificed for their escape. Luo Yunshang demanded to return for them, while Luo Yunhai cursed Zhuo Fan for dragging them away. Zhuo Fan ignored both complaints. Dying beside loyal guards would not honor their sacrifice. Keeping the hares alive was the only decision that mattered. The three fugitives reached the misty forest on the western side of Black Wind Mountain. Thick fog had covered the area for years, making the terrain almost impossible to navigate. To Luo Yunshang, it was a dangerous hiding place. To Zhuo Fan, it was the perfect battlefield. He asked for spiritual stones and began carving a formation into the ground. The young mistress could hardly believe what she saw. Formations were rarer and more valuable than ordinary cultivation methods, yet this mysterious servant created one as though it were a simple trap. Luo Yunshang hesitated before handing over the stones. They were among the last valuable resources the ruined clan possessed, and losing them would leave the family with almost nothing. Zhuo Fan gave her only two choices. She could trust him or wait for Sun Guanjia to arrive and decide their fate. Desperation finally overcame doubt. As each spiritual stone entered the ground, streams of energy connected beneath the mist. Zhuo Fan adjusted the lines to match the forest's natural flow, turning a cheap first-level formation into something far deadlier than its materials should have allowed. Using the surrounding terrain, he activated the 9 Serenities Ghost Gate formation and placed its control in Luo Yunshang's hands. The fog shifted, the paths changed. The entire forest became a weapon. Sun Guanjia soon arrived with his men, and a captured Commander Pang. Zhuo Fan pretended to betray the Luo siblings, offering to trade their lives for his own future. He tied a red cord through the fog and claimed that only he could guide the bandits to their hiding place. Sun Guanjia accepted the deal, certain that Zhuo Fan was just another cowardly servant. That confidence carried him straight into the formation. At the center of the forest, Zhuo Fan cut the cord and revealed the truth. He had not brought them to Luo Yunshang. He had brought them to the road leading to the underworld. Commander Pang cursed Zhuo Fan throughout the journey, convinced that the young servant had truly sold the Luo family for safety. Sun Guanjia enjoyed every insult. He believed fear had exposed Zhuo Fan's real nature, and that another servant had finally chosen profit over loyalty. That assumption was exactly what Zhuo Fan needed. The red cord was never meant to guide the bandits safely through the fog. It placed them along the formation's killing path, separating the stronger cultivators from the weaker ones and ensuring that no group could support another when the array awakened. The mist turned red, one bandit vanished, then another. Commander Pang was pulled to safety, while Sun Guanjia's men were separated and devoured by the formation. Under Zhuo Fan's guidance, Luo Yunshang controlled the array and struck from beyond their sight. Their enemies could not find her. They could not flee from her. They could not even understand what was killing them. At first, Luo Yunshang's hands trembled. She had never controlled a formation, and every movement decided whether an enemy lived or died. Zhuo Fan remained beside her, directing the flow of energy and forcing her to focus. The men inside the fog had murdered loyal members of her clan and intended to use her brother as a hostage. Once she remembered that truth, hesitation disappeared. She channeled power into the formation. Dark shapes moved through the mist, ghostly energy closed around the trapped bandits, and their screams echoed across a forest that offered no direction and no mercy. Sun Guanjia finally realized that the helpless servant had designed everything, but the discovery offered no escape. Zhuo Fan attacked through the blood-red fog and ended the traitor's life. By the time the formation fell silent, every pursuer was dead. The blood and spiritual energy left inside the array became nourishment for Zhuo Fan. He absorbed the remaining power, forced open new meridians, and advanced far beyond the limits of the original body. When he returned, Luo Yunshang demanded to know who he truly was, but Zhuo Fan concealed the secret of his past. Commander Pang, ashamed for doubting him, offered to accept any punishment. His loyalty reminded Zhuo Fan of everything Zhao Cheng had lacked. Instead of punishing the guard, Zhuo Fan acknowledged that the victory had required Luo Yunshang's courage as well. The survivors finally had a chance to rebuild, and their next destination was Fenglan City. There, Luo Yunshang was expected to marry Kai Xiaoding, the son of the powerful Kai family. If the marriage secured the Luo clan's future, Zhuo Fan hoped the Heart Demon might release him. The arrangement appeared ideal. The Kai family controlled considerable wealth and influence within Fenglan City, while the Luo clan still possessed land, history, and a marriage promise made during better times. Luo Yunshang believed the Kai family would honor that old agreement. Commander Pang shared her hope, certain that the worst danger had passed. Zhuo Fan was less trusting. Families that welcomed prosperous allies often abandoned them when their fortunes collapsed. Even so, he agreed to continue. If Luo Yunshang and Luo Yunhai became safe under Kai protection, the final wish of the body's former owner might be fulfilled. Far away, the leader of Black Wind Mountain learned that Sun Guanjia had failed. He ordered his men to keep watching the Luo siblings and quietly prepared another scheme. Unaware of this threat, Zhuo Fan's group entered Fenglan City. Luo Yunshang and Luo Yunhai went ahead to contact the Kai family, while Zhuo Fan and Commander Pang waited at an inn. Zhuo Fan soon wandered into the market, where a merchant was selling fake jade at an outrageous price. A sharp-eyed young woman exposed the fraud, but she could not prove it. Zhuo Fan stepped forward, soaked the jade in a simple mixture of sulfur and sediment, and watched its false color dissolve. The angry crowd turned on the merchant, while the mysterious woman studied Zhuo Fan with growing interest. Zhuo Fan later returned to the same merchant and offered 10 spiritual stones for the worthless jade. The seller believed he had found a chance for revenge. Instead of accepting the deal, he called his men and tried to kill the young servant. Zhuo Fan eliminated them without hesitation and took the stone. Hidden inside the fake jade was something far more precious: fairy blood. It had formed over thousands of years by gathering pure blood, spiritual energy, and the essence of the sun and moon. According to the Book of 9 Secrets, fairy blood could be refined into a blood infant, a terrifying companion that grew alongside its master. Even Emperor-level experts would hesitate before provoking a fully developed one. Unlike an ordinary weapon, the blood infant would share a direct connection with its creator. It could move without being seen, enter an enemy's body, and destroy vital organs from within. As Zhuo Fan's cultivation increased, the creature would become stronger as well. That made it perfect for his current situation. His new body could not yet overpower high-level cultivators, but the blood infant could bypass their external defenses. With enough time and nourishment, it might become more dangerous than any technique he had possessed in his former life. Back at the inn, Zhuo Fan ordered Commander Pang to guard the door and began the refinement. Fresh blood poured from his body as he tried to connect his spirit with the fairy blood. The process continued for 10 days, pushing him dangerously close to death. As his consciousness faded, memories of the holy domain returned. He saw the 7 emperors surrounding him. He heard Zhao Cheng's betrayal once more. Rage replaced exhaustion. Zhuo Fan had already died once because others wanted his power, and he refused to surrender a second time. He forced his damaged body to endure, completed the demonic transformation, and finally awakened the blood infant. Its heartbeat echoed inside him. It was small, sinister, and filled with limitless potential. When Zhuo Fan emerged, Commander Pang was still standing outside the room. He had guarded the door for all 10 days without asking what had happened inside. That unconditional trust was completely unfamiliar to the former Magic Emperor. For most of his life, Zhuo Yifan had believed that every relationship would eventually end in betrayal. Commander Pang's loyalty disturbed that belief. Zhuo Fan gave no sign of his thoughts, but something within him had begun to change. The change was small, almost impossible to notice. Zhuo Fan still spoke with the same cold impatience, and he still considered sentiment a dangerous weakness. Yet he thanked Commander Pang for the first time. The guard treated those few words as though they were a great reward. That simple reaction left Zhuo Fan more unsettled than any threat. Zhao Cheng had received years of guidance and answered with betrayal. Commander Pang had received nothing but orders, yet he remained outside one door for 10 days without complaint. The two men arrived at the Kai residence and immediately sensed that something was wrong. The guards mocked the Luo clan and treated its visitors like beggars. Inside, Luo Yunhai had been left waiting, while Luo Yunshang faced an even greater humiliation. Kai Xiaoting had cancelled their engagement and chosen Sun Yufei, a woman connected to one of the 7 noble houses of the Tianyu Empire. Luo Yunshang did not beg him to restore the marriage. She only asked him to remember the friendship between their families and help the ruined Luo clan. Kai Xiaoting refused, while Sun Yufei insulted her and claimed him as her own. With nowhere else to turn, Luo Yunshang lowered her pride and pleaded for her family's survival. For Luo Yunshang, the rejection meant more than a broken engagement. Her parents were gone, loyal guards had died, and the Luo estate had fallen into enemy hands. The marriage promise was the last support she believed remained. Kai Xiaoting had grown up beside her and knew every hardship her family had endured, but he looked away the moment helping her became inconvenient. Sun Yufei made the humiliation worse, treating Luo Yunshang's desperation as entertainment. The young mistress endured every insult because Luo Yunhai's future depended on finding protection. That was the moment Zhuo Fan entered. He struck Kai Xiaoting and Sun Yufei before either of them could react. Both were talented cultivators of his generation, yet his speed made them appear helpless. The heart demon had reacted to Luo Yunshang's suffering, but Zhuo Fan's anger was no longer caused by the curse alone. He had seen a loyal young woman humiliated by people who hid behind status and power. He led the Luo siblings towards the exit, but Kai Xiaoting demanded that Luo Yunshang kneel and kowtow before they could leave. Zhuo Fan answered with another crushing attack. No one in that room deserved her submission. The head of the Kai family finally appeared. As an 8th-layer Foundation realm cultivator, he believed he could kill the young butler with one strike. Zhuo Fan read his cultivation at a glance and prepared a counterattack. The elder's blow still sent him flying, but Zhuo Fan had never depended on luck. While everyone watched the clash, the blood infant entered Kai Xiaoting's body. One thought from Zhuo Fan was enough to make the young heir collapse in agony. The balance of power changed instantly. The Kai family head could defeat Zhuo Fan, but he could not save his son if the blood infant destroyed him from within. Forced to choose, he allowed the Luo clan to leave. Zhuo Fan gave him one final warning. Any further pursuit would cost Kai Xiaoting his life. Outside the estate, Luo Yunshang explained why Sun Yufei's background was so dangerous. The 7 noble houses had received special authority when the Tianyu Empire was founded. Their territories, wealth, and military power placed them above ordinary clans, and opposing one of them was almost equal to opposing the imperial family itself. The Luo clan had offended a family connected to that enormous power. Apologizing would only deliver them into the enemy's hands, so Zhuo Fan chose a different path. Fenglin City was also home to Qianlong Pavilion, the wealthiest treasure house in the empire, and another one of the 7 noble houses. If the Luo clan could gain its protection, Sun Yufei's backing would no longer guarantee victory. Luo Yunshang considered the plan impossible. Qianlong Pavilion dealt with wealthy clans, powerful cultivators, and treasures from across the Tianyu Empire. The ruined Luo clan possessed no reputation that could attract such an ally. Zhuo Fan did not intend to rely on reputation. Power could be borrowed, loyalty could be purchased, and even a noble house could be moved by sufficient profit. During the night, he drew a formation from his memories of the Holy Domain. To him, it was a simple design. Within the Tianyu Empire, it was knowledge that had vanished generations ago. The next morning, the group visited Qianlong Pavilion. Even its guards were powerful enough to look down on ordinary clans, and they refused to announce the Luo family's arrival. Zhuo Fan challenged their authority and accused the pavilion of mistreating its guests. Before the argument became a fight, the mysterious woman from the Jade Market appeared. She was Long Kui, a member of Qianlong Pavilion. Recognizing Zhuo Fan, she invited the group inside and asked what they wished to sell. Zhuo Fan placed a hand-drawn formation sketch on the table. Long Kui immediately understood that the drawing was valuable, but she tried to hide her interest. She offered 100,000 spiritual stones and called it an ordinary first-level formation. Zhuo Fan saw through the tactic and took the sketch back. Her offer rose to 300,000, yet he still refused. More importantly, he realized that Long Kui was not the true decision-maker. He demanded to meet the master of the pavilion. The man who answered was Long Jiu, a cultivator so powerful that Zhuo Fan could not clearly measure his realm. Long Jiu examined the sketch and offered 1.8 million spiritual stones. Even that amount failed to impress Zhuo Fan. Luo Yunshang and Commander Pang could barely hide their shock. A single drawing had suddenly become worth more money than the Luo clan had seen in years. Accepting the offer would have solved many immediate problems, but Zhuo Fan understood that money alone could not stop the Sun family. Once the spiritual stones were spent, the Luo clan would again stand alone. He therefore continued negotiating, even when Long Jiu released enough pressure to remind everyone in the room how easily he could crush them. He knew that Qianlong Pavilion valued its reputation. He also knew that the formation was worth far more than money. When Long Jiu tried to pressure him, Zhuo Fan calmly turned the pavilion's honor against him. The old master burst into laughter. No ordinary servant would dare negotiate with one of the 7 noble houses, and no ordinary servant could remain so composed in front of him. Long Jiu finally asked for Zhuo Fan's real condition. The answer revealed the entire plan. Zhuo Fan valued the formation at 10 million spiritual stones, but Qianlong Pavilion only needed to pay 1 million immediately. The remaining 9 million would become a debt. And until that debt was repaid, the pavilion would protect and assist the Luo clan. Long Jiu accepted. After the group departed, he explained to the confused Long Kui that the drawing was not merely a first-level formation. It was an ancient formation, created through a method that had been lost in the Tianyu Empire. Its true value could not be measured by 10 million spiritual stones. Long Kui finally understood why Zhuo Fan had refused every earlier offer. He had recognized the limits of her authority from the beginning, then forced the negotiation upward until the only person capable of making a long-term agreement appeared. The delayed payment was not a concession, it was the true product he intended to obtain. By making Qianlong Pavilion owe the Luo clan, Zhuo Fan turned a commercial transaction into a protective alliance without ever asking the noble house for charity. Long Jiu then ordered experts to guard the Luo clan from the Sun family's retaliation. Zhuo Fan had entered Qianlong Pavilion as the butler of a dying household, carrying nothing but a sheet of paper. He left with 1 million spiritual stones, the protection of a noble house, and the first foundation of Luo clan's revival. The Magic Emperor was still far from his former throne, but the empire had just taken its first step into his design.